Well, it's been a couple weeks, okay? So I haven't been posting much lately, and that is just the way it is. But here I am, and I'm doing another vlog. Hi, welcome back to The Colorblind Architect. I'm David, and yeah, you watching the news lately? You watching it? It's kind of depressing. The current occupant of the White House is, how shall I say this, a friggin' moron. Yeah, he gave how many billions of dollars worth of military equipment to the Taliban, and now the Taliban's threatening the United States. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the mask mandates, yeah, Mr. Biden is a friggin' moron. Yeah. So, what do we do about that? I don't know. But you gotta figure it's even worse than that. See, back when Trump was in the White House, he and his followers kept on referring to the deep state. What the heck is the deep state? Well, if you actually think about it, the deep state's not that conspiratorial. If you think about it, it's really just what most people call bureaucracy. Yeah, that's right, the bureaucracy. See, that word is actually just bureau, which is French for office, and cracy, or a C-R-A-C-Y, right, is coming from the Greek for government. So it basically means the government of the office. And if you've ever watched The Office, you'll know that not only did Steve Carell do a fantastic job, performed so well in that show, but you'll also realize any government run by an office has got to be pretty dang stupid. Well, that's kind of true. I mean, if you've ever interacted with any kind of bureaucracy, you know what I'm talking about. You know that bureaucracies tend to just suck the light out of everything. Now, as an architect, I deal with bureaucracies all the time. Fortunately, not with the federal bureaucracy. The federal government is especially bad. It is so bad. But even on a city and state level, and I live in a fairly well-managed state, the bureaucracy here is not nearly as bad as it is in other places, and yet it can still be pretty dang bad. It's just the way it is, and a lot of people probably think it's some kind of evil conspiracy. No, it's actually just when you get a bunch of people in an office together. I mean, just think, even if you're in a private sector office, it's gonna suck, right? I mean, there's always people trying to backstab each other, there's always power plays, and there's always turf battles I remember the first big company I worked in an office. I remember there being a turf battle that I didn't even realize I was a part of, because that's just not how I'm wired. I have absolutely no desire to be part of any bureaucracy. I tend to do very poorly in those kinds of environments because I don't think about that. But yet, there were actually people making moves on my position. They were trying to lock me in, block me out, so that I could not make moves on them. They thought I was trying to come in on their turf, and I didn't realize it at the time. Now, in retrospect, I've looked back and realized, wow, so that's why they were being such dicks. Because it didn't dawn on me that people would view their position in a firm as something that they had to jockey for position. Because in my mind, I was thinking, hey, we're all on the same team. And, we're all trying to do X. In the case of an architecture firm, we're all trying to make building designs so that we can get them into plans, so that we can get paid, so that we can be profitable. Ideally, in an architecture firm, you want to be as efficient in your production of plans that you can get a bigger profit out of the fee that you propose. That's kind of the idea with architecture. The exception is if you're doing hourly services and you're getting paid by the hour, then there's really no way to get any more profit than the profit margin that's already built into your hourly rate structure. So the business side of architecture is kind of a mess for a lot of reasons, but it never dawned on me at the time that there would be people in an architecture firm that would be actively trying to sabotage my efforts to succeed because they wanted to make themselves look better. It's something that shouldn't be happening, but unfortunately it happens in any bureaucracy. And what I mean by bureaucracy here is the existence of any kind of power structure within an office place. Now, this happens on the government scale all the time. Worse yet, because a government actually has legal power over the citizenry. For example, your local city government has power to regulate your life. Case in point would be my local city government regulates yards, maintaining your yard. There's actually ordinances on the books that say that you have to take care of your yard, make sure that it's well maintained. Now, the reasons for this is that's fairly obvious. It makes sense why a city would want to say, hey, as landowner, you need to maintain your property, not only because, one, we want it to look beautiful because that increases property values for everybody, right? Two, because in our case, here in Utah, it's extremely dry. And wildfires are a very real concern. And to protect the public from your negligence in keeping weeds too big and tall, when there's not enough water to keep them well wetted so they don't burn, right? That becomes a public nuisance. So it's understandable how that could happen, right? But the case in point is that, they govern that, and you've got office employees, right, of the city, because the elected officials of a city typically have day jobs. They don't actually work full-time for the city. The exception might be with bigger cities, but most cities are small cities. I mean, we're talking maybe a few thousand people. I mean, the city I live in, I'm guessing it's probably about 8,000 to 10,000 people in the whole entire city. It's not that big of a city, but it is still a city, right? And so that city then has to hire employees to carry out those daily tasks of things like, collecting the bills for water and trash collection, or processing applications for zoning changes and site plan applications and building permits. Various tasks like that are necessary functions of a local city government. So I guess my whole point here is to say the idea of a deep state is not that crazy, because we already know that the FBI, the Department of Agriculture, the EPA, the CIA, in fact, all of these government alphabet soup agencies, they all have functions that are given to them in their charter as passed by law by Congress to do a said function in the governance of the country, right? And that governance of the country is being done by full-time employees of the government. It's not being done by your congressperson. It's not being done by the president. The president's one person. The federal bureaucracy that the president is CEO over is in the order of a couple million people, I think. Possibly even 3 million. That's a lot of people all making decisions, and they're not elected people. And there's going to be power plays. There's going to be structures in the way that those bureaucrats interact with one another and also interact with the public. Because, obviously, if people have power, they will try to use it. It's just the natural tendency of man, right? So, yeah, the deep state's real. And it's not some dark conspiracy. It just is. Now, what is the deep state doing with that power? That could be a dark conspiracy. And that's what you need to consider. Is the government, is the bureaucracy that is running the government, are they actually seeking out the best interest of the public, or are they seeking out the best interest of themselves? Right about now, if you had to put a gun to my head to say what I believe, I would probably lean on the thought that maybe they don't have the best interest of the American public in mind. That's just my thought. And there you go. I'm the Colorblind Architect. Peace out.